I'm Eloy, and this is a conversation designed for BCD people with BCD people. On this show, we're running through the diverse cultures of talent at BCD Travel, and we're showcasing our most confident self-colleagues. So come on, let's go have some fun as we explore the different functions, spaces, faces, and the complexities across our world of BCD. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another week of A World of BCD. We are on the podcast this week, and we are actually sitting in the middle of nowhere in Sweden. I'd love to welcome to the podcast this week, Evelyn. Thanks for being here, Evelyn.
Thank you for having me. I feel really privileged to even being asked on this show.
Oh my goodness, it is my pleasure. And when I say middle of nowhere, Sweden, maybe you can help our listeners understand, where are you? And you don't actually sound very Swedish.
No. So I'm probably commonly known as the Swedish English girl in BCD Travel. I moved over here 8 years ago and I now work remotely. So I started my journey in Stockholm office and then moved when I had my first kid. And now I'm literally living 2 hours away from Stockholm in the countryside, where the nearest shop is a 15-minute drive away.
15 minutes to go and get a glass or getting some milk and bread, right?
Yes, so you have to really plan ahead.
Very good. And Evelyn, I know that you and I have connected offline on a number of different topics. So why don't I just kind of pass you the microphone and what do you want to talk about today with our listeners?
I really want to talk about Confidence Self Week that was held by Global HR and Talent. It was a really great opportunity for me to read about so many different people's journeys. I've had one myself, especially this year, and just listening to other people or looking at other people's stories. I mean, I but saw one lady from Peru. That was amazing.
I know. And you share my excitement. I think it's really timely that you even bring that up. And listeners, FYI, this was unprompted and there was no script around this. Last week was bananas, like BANANAS, bananas. We did not expect what the return on investment, if you will, would be from the business, just given the opportunity to shout about how they've developed here in this company. What a fantastic opportunity. So Evelyn, I'm really stoked that that's something you want to talk about today. And when you say confident self, what does that mean to you?
Oh, wow. It means taking risks and taking opportunities that you would never really think of doing before, because you have to be confident to do that and to just have the self-assurance to think to yourself, I can do this.
And the way that we were able to just see so many people connect, like you're saying, from the middle of nowhere, Sweden, all the way down to Peru, and then just to hear from some of the executives was really, really exciting for us on the learning and talent side, as well as I'm sure for just the regular employee to understand, hey, one, it's cool that this company promotes development, but two, look at the development that's happening and we've never heard of right
exactly.
now. And I know, Evelyn, you've got a specific path that I would love for you to lean into right now, the Ladders Program that you and I have spoken about offline. Maybe you can share some of this with the listeners, because I think it blends perfectly.
Okay, well, GBTA is the Global Business Travel Association, and they have their own mentoring program. And back in, 2018, so far away, I was looking at mentoring programs all around the industry and seeing what would be best for me, because I really believe in mentoring and learning from other people. I'm not the type of person that's really good in a classroom environment. I'm not very good at just looking at videos. I need to actually be in the experience to actually get something from it. So I was looking around, and through word of mouth, I heard about this program where they really do take on board the people within the industry, and they give them an opportunity to develop and do new things through a challenge. So I put my application in and they accepted, and I was totally over the moon, because they don't accept everyone, which I really thought they did. I was like, oh, everyone can do this, but they do choose based on the applications, because there's so many. So I was really over the moon to even be thought about. And they put people in the right mix of groups. So they really do take the time to think about who would work in what group. they'll have an alumni advisor, someone who's done the whole thing twice before and has experience of the program, a mentor who would be someone who has a long history within the industry and is renowned. And then you've got the teammates who are a mix of people that have done it before or are brand new. And I was a brand new mentee. And last year was the first time that there were more new mentees than alumni. So it was really exciting.
That's really so this program, you're saying it's run by GBTA, and what are people mentoring people on? Is it just the industry? Is it specific topics? Is it functions?
Well, initially it's on the topic because you get given a key topic to talk about, but then you develop a relationship with everyone in the team. And then it depends on yourself, really, how much you put in and talk to your mentor and trust your mentor. And then, you know, they give advice back. And also the entire team really does. You kind of end up mentoring each other because when you're in a situation, you feel as though you can talk to them and they give you answers back on how to best put yourself forward or how to navigate certain situations. So you're constantly learning from everyone, but your mentor you have a really special relationship with, and sometimes you can check in with them just on your own via WhatsApp if needed.
And I think it's really, really timely you bring this to the surface, Evelyn, because mentoring is one of the highest topics that's asked of us. As a company, do we have a mentoring program? Can we start a mentoring program? Why don't we have a mentoring program? All of these questions that we constantly get, probably every 6 months, we're responding to a leader, and it's something that we're definitely considering for 2020. So, if I want to flip this real quick away from the GBTA experience, and if you were to step back into your role now, which I don't think we've even spoke about, but we'll get to, Evelyn, when you've gone through this ladder experience, what have you brought back to BCD as a win for you for participating?
For me, it is being able to take on new opportunities and having the confidence to say, I'm going to do that. Whereas before I was very hesitant, perhaps, to put my nose above the parapet. And also I've brought in some new skills that I've never had before.
Like what?
Maybe just like social media writing skills, like that's something that I've learnt how to do. And because my role, just to give you a heads up, I am a bid writer. So I'm part of the global sales cycle support team and I write global bids. So writing for social media and writing for the web is completely different than writing an RFP. And there's certain things that you have to transform, and digital transformation is one of the things that all companies do. BCD's doing it as well, and it was just my way of transforming as well because it's something I've never done before, and it proved quite successful. And I really enjoyed posting on LinkedIn, and I created a Twitter page for myself. And Ooh. I know it's something that I've never done, where it's opening myself up that little bit more to the globe, because that is what you're doing.
So let me ask you two questions based on a couple of the statements you just made. RFP stands for?
Request for proposals.
Great. That's for our listeners that don't know what that is. And when you say social media, you are speaking of posting on LinkedIn, on Twitter. Is there any other social media, Facebook channels?
Instagram.
So when you say that you learned how to do that, what purpose and what benefit does that have for your role?
It means that
because I can go and post on Facebook right now and say, look at my breakfast. Here's a foodie post, right? But that has nothing to do with my role. So what are you referring to when you say you learned about how you can do that to better your role?
Just to find out how the best way of positioning something is for the reader and in what channel. So when you've got an RFP, it can be hundreds of pages long. Nowadays, they are really long questions, but they're asking for the questions in the most succinct way possible. And when you're writing on social media, you need to grab people's attentions within 3 seconds. So you kind of have to shorten your way of writing and your style of writing. And I've brought that back to BCD. And it's actually interesting when I compare perhaps some writing that I've done, like the last 5 exec summaries I've written, I can see that I've developed a really strong writing style which is actually quite bullet pointy, and a lot of people read in that kind of way. They skim read nowadays. They don't really go down into the weeds.
That's very interesting. And so for the regular listener, outside of that one tip you gave there, is there anything else you could pass on? If let's pretend I'm sitting there and I don't have a Twitter account, should that be something that I want to start? If I do have a LinkedIn page, why would I post on LinkedIn, and how could that benefit BCD if I'm just somebody at BCD?
Do you know, I thought that as well, but then it's a really good level playing field. You can contact pretty much anybody if you wanted to, or even respond to something that they've written, and then start a conversation from there. I, for example, follow some company pages. I will follow people that I'm interested in. There's a lot of industrial influencers out there who can inspire you just to think in another way, or to give you information that you have far faster than perhaps what's being posted on Inner Circle. So it's a really good way of just inputting or downloading lots of information into your brain just on slow time. So a lot of people scroll through Facebook or whatever, but you do actually take it all in, and it can inspire you to create new things and think about how to write to clients perhaps in a different way. Just as an example, I've recently written a post that wasn't about Ladders experience, and it was about the rise of the ethical traveller. And I wrote that in collaboration with Jesper Glacius and the crisis management team. And it was on the back of thinking of sustainability in travel. And then I wrote about it, and there was a lot of people who emailed me back and having conversations on, what companies can do to help their travellers and sustainability. And it was a really topical post, because obviously with Greta Thunberg in the in the stratosphere
spotlight right now, right?
About that, yeah. So I was just something that I wanted to kind of share in the world, and the world kind of responded back to me, and it was a really nice way of just leveling the playing field. It didn't matter that I'm not a SVP, but people who were SVPs were emailing me on LinkedIn just saying, well done on writing that was really good, or just giving me some kind of inspiration by giving me some tips on something else that I should look at as well. So it's just a way of engaging yourself with the industry and geeking out, I suppose.
Well, no, and I think to tie it back, and I'm super encouraged by the passion that you speak to here, Evelyn, because I think that this ties back to the confident self. This is you being your most confident self, being willing to share, your knowledge, and then able to share it. That's exactly what it is. Knowledgeable, willing as able, as Mr. Dahl said in his opening video last week. So, yeah, good for you. Go get it. Go get it. And I think that the encouragement for anyone listening to this is that we are all our own professional brand, as in Evelyn, you are, Chica, I am, listener, you are. But when you do speak in positive light towards something that this company represents, you're a positive light towards our company brand as well. So there's a win-win-win-win-win. The bigger brand you can be, Evelyn, I can be, the bigger it's going to be for the company too. And the caveat there is that it's a positive brand that you're spouting to the world.
Oh, yeah.
Some really good insights there, Evelyn. Thank you. And if I could whip back real quick to the mentoring piece. You said that you learned a lot from the one-on-one mentoring you had, the peer-to-peer sharing that you did. If I'm an individual contributor here at BCD, what advice would you give to me if I want to be mentored?
I think you don't have to go and actually ask someone, hey, I want to be a mentee, or will you be my mentor? You don't have to do that. I think you just have to reach out and start asking someone questions and ask them. It can be anyone, really. You just have to have the confidence. So find someone that you find interesting, find someone that you feel that you have a sense of trust with, so that if you do open yourself up to them, you're willing to take on their constructive criticism or their thought process or whatever, and just ask them a question. I think just start by doing that, saying I'm in this XYZ position. I would like some thoughts from you, why perhaps that person would be the best person, and just start from there. It's kind of, it's a bit like just going into a bar and asking someone what they think, really, and making sure that person's the person that you really want to hear from, because you've got to take their responses in and really take them on board and act on them, because there's nothing worse than kind of listening to someone but then not doing anything with it. You've got to really think about what that person
thanks for wasting my time, right?
I
can do all of this and you chose not to listen to me. Awesome. Thank you very much. Remind me not to do this with you again. That's basically the message you send the person, right?
Yeah.
So I heard this I actually read this morning, very timely, this little piece of gem advice too for anyone that's listening. If you want feedback from somebody, the worst thing you can say to somebody is, I want your feedback. The actual word you want to substitute with feedback today in today's culture is advice rather than feedback. Because the association with the word feedback now is that we're providing an evaluation, whereas providing advice focuses less on the evaluation piece and more towards action in the future. Because with feedback, I've got to do a lot of thinking and then I have to craft it and present it to you. Whereas advice, I just do, this is what I would do. And it helps you move forward quicker than you evaluating what I've done. So I think that when you said there, ask for their thoughts, that's exactly the direction and the way that we would love to walk down, in the future for the listeners that are seeking mentorship. Evelyn, are there any other thoughts that you would give to somebody seeking a mentor?
Just be open, just be honest, and really see the person that you want, whoever you admire, whoever you think has got something to say, just reach out and contact them.
And we can do it cold, luckily for us in this cool company too.
And there's so many people that you can contact. It's crazy. This is such a big company with so many people, right? So much talent. So it's
so many people willing. I think the best advice I would give to somebody wanting to be a mentee is, I think the first thing you need to do, or if I was mentoring somebody, something I'd ask of you is that you have to appreciate my time as the mentor. The second thing would be definitely be really clear on what kind of advice you're seeking. And then the third thing is that you have to, like you said, Evelyn, really grab it with both hands and then come back to the mentor to show that you're taking action so that you're respecting their time as the boomerang.
Yeah.
So much good stuff there, Evelyn. Okay, so let's take another step as we begin to come towards the close here, Evelyn. Is there anything that you wish to share to the listeners about your role and what you do at BCD Travel? How can we as listeners support you and the bid writing team in the full court press that we're in?
Oh, gosh, that is such a big question. I don't know where to start.
So is it a small or a big answer?
I think number one, if I could say, when it comes to supporting our team, is just being open to who we are, so that when we email you, you respond quickly, because there's always a short deadline. And also, if you've got a client that you're working with and there's something really good that's happened, write it down, share it with your ops manager, or make sure that you're taking notes on all the great things that we do. Because it's quite common when we work with, for example, an RFP, and we need to get case studies or success stories. And it doesn't have to be some long spiel. It can just be like a bullet point of something that's happened, that there's been a challenge and this is how you affected great change and the result that it came from it. And that's just enough that would really help us when it comes to a rebid situation, or even if it came to a bid avoidance situation. So I just say to everyone, keep taking notes.
Speaking of notes, I have taken several notes today, Evelyn, so thank you for being with us. Are you ready for your final 5 questions as we begin to wrap up this episode?
Yes.
Great. So question number 1, in your best Swedish/English accent, Evelyn, can you roll your R's?
No.
I guess that's a little bit more pirate or Scottish. I don't even know. That
means rice porridge, and there's a lot of R's in there. I can't say it. No.
Oh, great. Question number 2. What is your favorite social media channel?
LinkedIn at the moment, definitely.
LinkedIn. And well, actually, something that came to mind, if we want to know more about the GBTA's Ladder Program, I believe that you've become pretty famous around your LinkedIn posts and GBTA Ladders Program. Is that correct?
That is correct. You can definitely follow me if you want to, Chica.
I will follow you, and I suggest to any of the leaders that are listening, if you wish to jump in and hear more, that you can follow Evelyn as well. Question number 3, magic tricks. Evelyn, do you know any?
No. I sound so terrible. No. Oh, I know. I know how to make food disappear.
Wow. Shazam. Speaking of food, question number 4, do you prefer vanilla or chocolate?
Ooh, when I was younger, it was chocolate, but now I'm an adult. I'm leaning towards vanilla.
As you sit 4 o'clock in Sweden, eating your biscuits and drinking your coffee. Very good. Question number 5, Evelyn, thanks for joining us today. And what is your favorite thing, and why do you continue to stick with B-City Travel?
The constant change. I love change. I love how things develop here. No 2 days are the same. Nothing ever is the same to write about. Things are always developing. At the moment, it's the whole digital transformation and the speed that we're going at. And I find that really exciting. And also the people. I love the people.
As a caveat, the last part's the people. Well, I'm glad that you're here, Evelyn, and thank you for sharing your passion. And I look forward to connecting with you in the future. And hopefully, if we have a digital transformation roundtable here in the coming future, I want to make sure that you're part of that. So thanks again for your time, and we'll talk to you soon.
Great. Thanks, Speaker. And thanks, everybody, for listening.